Did you know that if you're an entrepreneur or property investor, you can legally structure your business so you can earn 100 grand, maybe even more, and pay little to no tax? My name is Russell Leeds.
And I'm Anna Leeds.
And this week on the Property Investors Podcast, we're going to be discussing how you can do exactly that. So,
I like a tax.
like a tax saving,
Yeah,
without having to move to Dubai.
Yes.
The thing
Even though
is,
it's one of those, we go on about Dubai. We almost convince ourselves to go to Dubai, but actually, a little bit of tax saving.
you can earn quite a lot of money. I mean, there's limits to it. There's limits to it. So if you've got a business, for example, that's turning over 20 million a year, 30 million a year, it's difficult. It's difficult, which is why it is tempting. That's why we see a lot of multimillionaires going over to Dubai.
Because there is only so much you can do.
There's only so much you can do. Quite a lot of what you can do as well on the higher scale is delaying stuff, which we'll talk a bit about. So, like, for example, the way we're not paying tax at the moment on some of our service accommodation properties.
Yeah.
We can't do that forever. It's like there's an allowance, and once you run out the allowance, then you will start paying tax. But yeah, if you're earning, I genuinely think if you're earning, say, 100 grand, 150 grand, that sort of number, you can live a really good life and pay very little tax here in the UK. Start going above that, and it starts getting tricky.
Yeah.
Until you reach Starbucks levels,
Where you can just blatantly
there's kind of that gap
bend
in the middle.
rules and they just turn a blind eye.
Yeah, if you're genuinely like a small business owner who's doing okay, you can pay very little tax. If you're in that middle bit, you're gonna end up, unfortunately, probably paying quite a lot of tax till you get to. Do you know how Starbucks don't pay tax?
I do. It's a very, very clever, but it's just at the same time, it is a bit of a joke.
Yeah, because you'd think, when you look at Starbucks and you'd go, well, hold on, it's a UK. Each store is a UK-based coffee shop. So how are they? And they're obviously earning money. They can't be like, oh no, but we're overseas. What? You're literally there in London.
Yep.
You're on Regent Street. How can you say you're overseas? But what they do, for those of you that don't know, it's quite clever. So they've got each individual shop is obviously its own business, and then overseas they've got a company in a tax haven that owns the Starbucks brand, and then they've got another company in a tax haven that owns the Starbucks coffee. So each individual store has to buy the coffee from this company.
And let me guess, it's highly expensive.
Of course, yeah. I mean, it's got to be realistic. So it's not like, oh, it's £1 million for the coffee. But of course, it's Starbucks premium coffee. It's Starbucks coffee. So of course, it's expensive coffee that they have to buy. You'd think that they'd manage to get some sort of good discount, wouldn't you?
Through Starbucks, but no.
Buying in, but no, they don't. And then they've also got to pay license fees to use the Starbucks brand. And by the time they've paid for the coffee and by the time they pay for the brand, each store, annoyingly, makes no profit. And ironically, the companies overseas in the tax havens, they're the ones making all the profit.
And when you first hear about it, you think, why on earth are the UK turning a blind eye? But because they are providing a lot of jobs for people, and those people are paying tax.
Yeah, so all the employees.
So all the employees are paying tax.
PAYE, etc.
So therefore, I think that's why they turn a blind eye.
Also, they want these companies here.
Oh yeah,
right?
because Starbucks would leave.
Yeah, if they stop doing it, Starbucks will just go, well, we won't do it in the UK. We'll just
because it works everywhere else. Yeah. So, but it is they've reached that level where they just go, oh yeah, carry on. I mean, people did boycott Starbucks at one point, didn't they?
Because, they do that. They boycott Amazon.
We all realised Starbucks was better than Costa.
At the end of the day,
we went crawling back.
At the end of the day, people are going to do what's right for them, aren't they?
Yeah.
And if they're walking past a Starbucks and they like Starbucks coffee, do they really care?
Yeah.
That Starbucks avoid paying tax? Not really. All the big companies avoid paying tax anyway. When you get to that level,
what did Jimmy Carr do? That's another one that's just like, he gets mocked and ridiculed because there was an uproar.
Yeah,
he didn't pay tax. Was his anything clever?
I did look into his at the time, but I haven't sort of thought about his for quite a few years now. But it was something to do with, I think it was something to do with like paying someone else the money, and then they loaned him the money, and then it was like, oh, you
because he didn't get away with it, didn't he? Have to pay his back.
He didn't have to. He chose to pay his back because of the public backlash. What he did,
Really? So
Yeah.
because of the public... Oh, I don't think I would. Would you? Just because of backlash?
from his sort of perspective, I
Like
suppose.
Starbucks haven't paid theirs back, have they?
No, I wouldn't. No, I wouldn't. But then again, I'm not on my moral high ground. I'm not. Yeah, if I can save money on tax, 100%.
Yeah.
Well, I think the government just waste the money. I'm not here to. Oh yeah, we should all pay our taxes. I think they just totally waste the money. I think they just print new money. I think the whole system is a joke. So I've got no problem trying. I mean, listen, I do pay a lot of tax.
Yeah.
Annoyingly, but some of the stuff we're going to go through today, I'll avoid it as best I can.
Right, let's get to
But
it
I don't
then.
evade it.
You don't... No, there is a difference.
Avoid it, yes, of course.
Yes.
In fact, many times when you avoid it, you're doing kind of what they want you to do. Like, for example, we had our last car was a Porsche Taycan electric car.
Yeah.
That avoided loads of tax.
Yeah.
Because I could put it through the business. I didn't pay any.
But that's what, like you say, that's what they wanted. They did that scheme because it suited them, because they wanted to promote at the time electric cars.
Yeah, they provide incentives.
Yeah, of course.
And their
they do.
incentive is you avoiding tax. And if you do what they want, i.e., get an electric car,
Yeah, they give you...
they give you what you want,
Yeah.
which is avoiding tax. So they most of the time when you avoid tax, you're just doing what they want you to do anyway.
Yeah, they put the schemes in. You just need to take
Yes,
advantage of them.
It's not like they're stupid. It's not like they haven't, I haven't thought that through. Oh, look, he's not paying any tax because he's got an electric car. They know full well. They know what Starbucks are doing. They get it.
And if there is something and you do find a genuine loophole they haven't thought about, they soon shut it down.
And the other thing they can do, if you do find a loophole, not only can they shut it down, but they can retrospectively make you pay. So if you might be, I'm really clever there. But it's like, oh yeah, we changed the rule now. So now you owe us, they backdate it.
Do they?
Yeah.
I didn't know they backdated it.
Yeah, they'll backdate it. So if you find a clever loophole that's kind of going against the spirit of the rule, they won't do it if it's just like, oh, we've now changed the corporation tax from 19 to 25%. Therefore, you owe us an extra 6% for the last 10 years. They won't do that. But if you sort of manipulate the rules, find a loophole, and then they close it, they can backdate it as well.
So you do have to be a bit careful.
So you do a bit like Tom's. We talked about the Tom scheme.
Yes.
The tour operator's margin scheme. And the people that are sort of taking advantage of it and they're going to court, if they lose, they'll whip it through and go, no. You were outside the spirit of the law. We're going to backdate it for...
Oh, wow.
For all of this. All right. So the first thing I thought I'd do is wipe my eye.
Yeah, well, great start.
Always got to do that. First thing I thought I'd do is I'd have a look at 100 grand salary. Because a lot of people, their target, especially when you're first getting started out in property or business, it feels like a nice target to earn 100 grand. You can live a pretty decent life on 100 grand.
Of course you can. I mean, that's in the top. Is that in the top 1% earners in the UK?
I don't think it's in the top 1, but I think it's in the top couple of percent. It's the 10%. I think 60 grand puts you in the top 10.
10. So 100 grand must put you close.
But it scales up quite quickly.
Oh, okay.
I think 1% is about 150 grand.
Okay. But it puts you in the...
But you're a good earner. You're
Yeah.
definitely, you're well inside the top 10% of earners in the UK if you're on 100 grand. Now, if you're earning 100 grand as a salary, as an employee, obviously you're going to pay quite a lot of tax on that 100 grand. And in fact, the tax that you're going to pay on that 100 grand is, well, you're going to be taxed on all of it, right? So you're going to pay tax of, how much is it? We just work it out, £32,000. £32,000 tax, which is like a deposit for a house.
It's so steep, isn't it?
Every year.
Steep.
Yeah. And then one of the reasons is because you won't be able to put any expenses through, really. It's like everything goes through. Whereas if you run your own business, if you're a property investor, if you're an entrepreneur, you can have genuine business expenses that you can offset against the 100 grand. So before you even get started, you're not paying tax on the 100 grand because you've got expenses you can put through.
Yeah.
So we're going to break down some of them now because not a lot of people know all of them. Okay.
Yeah.
So here's some examples. First one is if you work from home, which a lot of small business owners, property investors do. If you work from home, you can claim a portion of your rent or your mortgage payments as a tax deductible expense.
Yes. So how I think this works out, however much of you have to work out how much of your house, the percentage of your house you use for work.
Yeah. So I think the example they give on the HMRC website is, let's say, for example, you've got 5 main rooms in the house. You've got like 3 bedrooms, a kitchen, diner, and a living room.
Yeah.
Let's say you go, I'm going to turn the living room into my office.
Yeah.
And I'll live in the kitchen diner.
I feel like that's a bit unrealistic, isn't it? More like the dining room. You wouldn't turn your lounge, would you?
Well, it's just one of the rooms, isn't it? All right, fine. You turn one of the bedrooms. Does this make you feel better about the analogy? Okay, we turn one of the bedrooms into the office.
Didn't like the lounge being turned into the office.
Anna's like, that's my sacred place, the lounge.
Too intrusive that was.
Yes, terrible. But who knows how the house is laid out? It might be. Do you know, like, for example, lots of houses have a big living area at the back, and the lounge is now not really used, tucked away at the front, isn't it?
That's
what I had in my head.
That's what you had.
That's what I had in my head when I said it. But I'll change it just for you to one of the bedrooms. But let's say you've got 5 big rooms, all similar size. You turn one of them, doesn't matter which one, totally irrelevant, into an office. You could then look at it and go, well, a fifth of the living space I am now using as an office. Therefore, I can claim a fifth of my mortgage payments or my rent as a tax deductible
that's
expense.
Brilliant. But it's not just a fifth of your mortgage, it's of the utility bills as well.
You're right. So your gas, electric, water, council tax, all of that you can also claim. So if we look at how much that could be, I mean, the average rent in London, if someone that was earning 100 grand, they're not going to live in a normal house. They're going to live in quite a nice house, aren't they? So let's say they're paying 5 grand a month. That's a grand a month on the rent.
Yeah.
And then the utilities might be £500 a month. So that's about 6 grand a year. So that's about 1,200.
Yeah.
So straight away, that's 12 grand a year on the rent and over a grand a year on that's 13 grand. So you knock that off your 100 grand before you even start. So just for working at home, living in a nice house.
Yeah, it's brilliant, that is.
It's great, isn't it, straight away?
And some people, you do sometimes just not realise that. Because I remember we worked from home. Oh, sorry if I get my words out. We worked from home. And for first few years, we didn't realise that, did we?
We don't. I mean, we're filming in our studio at our home right now. I'd rather have it here than pay for another studio elsewhere. It just makes sense.
And you do have to work it out yourself. I mean, not that that's hard. I use one room, a fifth, a 5. But basically, you can go with it and you just put it in. But obviously, if you do get investigated, you do need to be able
prove
to prove.
it.
You can't go, well, I use all my house.
No. Or I use
75% of my house, and then they come around and they're like, mate, you've got one little study upstairs.
Yeah, it needs to be designated office space as well. You can't just go, oh, this is my dining room stroke office.
And I take phone calls and sit in my lounge.
Yeah, no. It has to be like set up.
Yeah, because you don't want to come unstuck if they investigate.
If they investigate you and you're there quickly like packing furniture, trying to make it look like an office. The whole house is an office block.
And I think even if you did convert a lot of your house into an office space, I just think if you put something like 75%, I think
alarm bells.
It would flag up really quickly, wouldn't it? Because that just doesn't make any kind of sense.
No.
So be realistic when you're doing this, and don't just
if you're just a single bloke and you rent like a mansion, and turn all of it into office space. I mean, I do know people that have done. Do you remember I'm Your PA?
Yes.
So she literally had the staff go and work at her house.
Oh, I didn't realise that.
It was a bit like that. So I imagine that she would have. But then you've got staff
now
working
you're
at your
thinking
house.
that was for tax purposes.
Well, probably. All right. Next is home internet.
Yeah.
Right. You don't want internet at home anyway. But if your office is there, your office needs internet.
Yeah.
So you can put all that through. So your internet at home, you can put through. I've just put that down as £500 a year.
Yeah.
Computer and tech. So your computers, it could be your desk, could be your chair, any stuff that you need. And again, you might be thinking, well, of course it's a business expense. And it is a business expense, but you're gonna want a computer at home anyway, aren't you?
Yeah.
You know, no one doesn't have a laptop or a computer, so it's just an extra nice little benefit. It, of course, is for work, and you will be using it for work. But the fact that you can put it all.
So you can also put through a percentage of, like, if you've got a cleaner. So a percentage of the house so when our office gets cleaned, that can get deducted.
Yeah, I think general repairs and stuff at the house, even stuff like the roof and stuff, if you're using it for office space, of course, before you try and put it through, check with your accountant.
Yeah, because you don't want to be doing anything that's dodgy.
Yeah, I landscaped the garden, it cost 80 grand. It's like, hold on a second. All right, here's another one. Your mobile phone. Do you get people that have 2 mobile phones?
No.
Oh, here's my work phone. Here's my personal phone.
Yeah, what's the point in that?
I know.
And like, do you carry them both around all the time? I know people do, and they're like, oh, this one's in my handbag and this one's in my pocket.
Yeah.
To be fair, you would be an absolute liability. Like,
Go on. What do you mean?
well, you'd definitely lose one.
Well, I never lose my phone.
Okay, where's your laptop now? Your brand new laptop?
Yeah, my laptop, but that's not a phone, is it? When have I last lost my phone? I can't think of it
No,
ever.
you don't, because you're on your phone all the time. But if you had two, you'd you'd lose your personal phone.
I just don't see why people have to. It just makes no...
You'd keep your work phone, that would be precious, and you'd lose your personal one. I just know it.
It actually annoys me when people in our team have to. I don't know if I've got grounds to be annoyed, so I don't say anything.
Because in our team, though, they've got personal phones, and then we give them... I know why our people do it.
Why?
Because they have nicer phones than we probably give them. So if they want the blunt...
No, because we give them... because we give them an allowance.
Oh,
so what they could do is they could say, like Pete did, he was like, I tell you what, he could get up to, I don't know, the second to latest iPhone or whatever the allowance was.
Yeah, I'm not saying we give them little flip phones from back in the day.
He was like, oh, can I pay the extra to get it up to the... And I think you could even do that as like salary sacrifice. They don't even pay tax on that extra bit. So it's like, yeah, there you go.
No, I don't understand it at all. How
do you know what? I tell you what I think
how
it is.
Annoying.
I think it's because they want to be able to ignore their work calls on weekends, for example, which annoys me.
But then what's crazy is like all...
But then I've got their personal number anyway.
All our staff.
So I just call them on the personal line?
Yeah, I've got both their numbers, and then I'm flicking through, and then I'm accidentally messaging them work on their personal, and could it be as well if you have got a job where you really don't... So say they're then handing their work number out to clients, but don't want clients to be able to call them. Because you're quite, though, you say you only have one phone, but then you're really funny about giving out your number. If you had a works phone, would you just give the number out and then just think, it's only my works phone?
Maybe.
Rather than giving out to clients your personal number.
Maybe. Anyway, I don't know. But if you've got a mobile phone, I would say have one. If you're a business owner, anyway, you're going to want one mobile phone because you're not going to want to ignore phone calls anyway.
No.
So get one mobile phone. It's a business phone. Put it through. That's £50 a month, £600 a year. I've popped down.
Nice.
Sorry to interrupt myself, but if you've ever wondered how some investors can earn up to £1 million a year and pay zero tax, totally legally, I'm running a completely free 1-hour webinar where I'll be teaching exactly that. The link will be in the description. All right, back to me talking again. Next was business meals, travel.
Yes.
So if you're, for example...
I love a business meal.
Well, obviously we work together. So you can arrange your board meetings or whatever it is, wherever you want, right? So I went to France a few months ago. I had a board meeting while I was there. Now, on my off day, I went skiing. Now, I can't put the skiing through.
No.
Because the skiing is...
But if you just happen to have your board meeting in France,
but
it'd
my
be
flights,
rude
my
not
food,
to go
my
skiing,
hotels... Yeah, all that can go through, and then
Yeah.
on your day off, while you're there, you can go skiing. So it's got to be a genuine business reason. We went to Bath, didn't we?
Yeah.
Went to Bath.
Is there any stipulation of like, why would you take your board meeting out in France? Do you have to prove that in any way?
I mean,
like, what would they not question?
When I've spoke to my accountant, one of the things that they say is they will question the time. So, for example, if I'm going to a conference we're looking at going to a conference in LA.
Yeah.
Right. So we go to the conference in LA. If I said, I want a week either side of the conference to chill, they'd be like, this is seeming like a holiday.
But if you had a few days either side.
A couple of days either side, you're okay.
So again, it's doing it all within reason, isn't it? And not taking the mick. So like when you did go to France for your board meeting, you were only there for a weekend.
Yeah.
If you'd gone for 2 weeks have one board meeting.
Went on the Friday, came back on the Monday.
Yeah. Had your board meeting on the Saturday.
Went skiing on the Sunday, Monday morning, and then came back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you've got another thing you can't do, talking about business meals, you no longer can put alcohol through.
No alcohol, they always
because they say
our accountant calls us out on that.
Yeah, because they say if you've got alcohol, is it really business? Because how much alcohol would you drink? Now I disagree with that a bit because
of course you do, because you drink all the time. It's like, what on earth? Can't drink out what? At work?
But
I know, it's 11 o'clock in the morning. And what?
But I think when you're going out for like a meal, a business meal, most people do have a glass of wine or a beer, don't they?
Yeah, that's kind of we that doesn't go down well with our accounting.
No, it doesn't.
We can't put alcohol on. But if you're going for a business meal, business travel, I mean, I know loads of people, loads of entrepreneurs. They don't go on holiday anymore. They literally only go on business trips.
Yeah. So what would they do if they've got kids?
Well, I imagine what they would do is, number one,
Get the kids babysat.
yeah, they'd hire a nanny, put the expense through the business. No, what you can't do, you can't go, I'm going on a business trip to Disneyland. It's like, come on now. It's got to be a genuine business expense, but you can manufacture.
What about if you were one of those adults that just really like Disney and then just fancied doing your board meeting at Disney?
No, you couldn't do that. It's just too unrealistic. It's just too unbelievable. Your accountant's got to believe it.
So near the ski slope is acceptable, but not at Disney.
Yeah,
That's the line.
Well, Disney, when you say you could go near Disney and then on your day off take the kids to Disney, but then just don't put your kids' flights on the business. You have to book them separate.
So then, what would you do hotel wise?
I think you'd be fine.
You could just get
a suite. Yeah, I think you'd be fine.
So you just don't book the kids' flights. So yeah,
just being smart about it. But with property, the great thing about property is you can go on viewings anywhere.
Yeah.
If you're genuinely,
do you know what? I generally though with property, we always go to the estate agents, don't we? When we're
genuinely very, very interested in the market and what's going
prices, what kind of houses are there.
Research.
Love it. I do.
Yeah. Well, are we selling ourselves now? We're selling HMRC.
Yeah.
So over the year, your business travel, your business meals, your board meetings, I've put £12,000 a year for £100
I mean, that
salary.
racks up really quickly, doesn't it? That I think.
Yeah.
I think 12 grand is quite conservative.
Yeah. And another thing that we spend quite a lot of money on is training, education.
Yeah.
So, for example, networking conferences or the one I was just talking about in LA, although that's kind of networking, that is actually training, isn't it?
Yeah.
So we spend quite a lot of money on training and education. I know a lot of our students that come through. The only thing I would say about training, is the first thing that how can I word this? Let's say you're a plumber and you're like, you know what? I'm a plumber now, but I would love to be a property investor. You can't just go on a property investment course and put it through because it's like, hold on a second. How does that relate to your plumbing business?
Yeah.
It doesn't. However, once you've been on a course, you can then say, okay, now I'm a property investor. Any further training that you do, you can. So if you're going to go into property, do a cheap course first that isn't tax deductible. And then any more expensive ones, do on the back of it.
That's brilliant. I think it's absolutely brilliant. You can put training courses through.
Yeah, we normally put I've put 12 grand, but at least 12 grand.
And like you say, take advantage. There's training courses all over the world. We've been to ones in Amsterdam. You've been to India, with Spain, Germany. I mean, you can travel with doing your training. Lots of training companies actually put it worldwide to encourage people to do that. So take the opportunity. Don't miss out. Don't do all your training courses here in England. Do some of them.
Yeah. So now looking at it, you've got the employee, the taxable income is 100 grand. The business owner, after we put those expenses on, is 60 grand.
Yep.
So all of a sudden, that's 40 grand you're not going to be paying tax on. All right, now let's look at the salary. An employee who's on 100 grand, their salary is 100 grand.
Yep.
If you're a business owner, your salary is not 100 grand. Your salary is £12,570.
Oh, you know that, do you?
I know that figure like the back of my hand. Why is that? Because that is that's your allowance. That's how much you can get tax free. Now, obviously, we're in business together.
Yeah.
And one of the things that we first did when we had our business is we paid me a salary of £12,570.
And me a salary?
We paid you a salary of £12,570. So now our 59 grand, we've just knocked off 25 of it. So nearly half of it has gone on our two allowances.
Yep.
But what a lot of people don't know, and we're not quite there yet, because our kids are a bit too young.
Yeah.
But once your kids are 13, you can pay your kids a salary as well.
Have you got a feeling our kids will be coming to work for us when they're 13?
I think they will work for us when they're 13. I think we'll get... Now, again, as with everything on this, you can't just go, I'm going to pay them a salary for doing nothing.
Yeah.
Like, same way as you can't go to Disneyland. and put it through, right? You've got to prove that they are actually doing something. Because if you ever got investigated, you need to evidence this is genuine, you know. Now, yes, you're using the system, but you've got to actually use it. You can't just put it through. My accountant recommended putting 10 grand or something for their salary, keeping it a bit under just to not raise any eyebrows.
The exact amount they can take.
Yeah.
But I'm really excited for that. I'm sad our kids are grown up. I like them at this age. But it does excite me when they're older, like you see Grant Cardone's kids. I think bringing them into the company, not that I'm saying they'll work with us long term, but I think such great experience. Obviously, they're home tutored anyway. So we can take them to our events. They can crew. They can do all sorts of things. They can learn how to do the sound at the events with our sound guy. And
I'm going to get them making confirmation phone calls. Going to get them
websites,
doing filming, social media. It's actually a great education for them.
It is. So I think I was laughing saying, I guess they're coming to work for us. But yeah, of course. Why not give them the opportunity to learn new skills? I think it's brilliant.
And you might be thinking like, oh, but that money's not coming to me, is it? The money's going to them because the money just have to go to them.
Yeah.
But they're 13 or 14 or 15. You're going to spend that money on them anyway, right?
Yeah.
It just means that now when you go clothes shopping, it's like
you use your money.
You're paying for yourself.
Yeah.
When they go out for food, they're paying for themselves.
When you go on your business trip,
they pay for their own skiing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, now you would be able to take them as well. That would actually be quite useful for that.
Yeah. I'd never actually thought about that, but yeah, you're paying for your own skiing.
Yeah, you pay for your own skiing. So they're going to pay for their own stuff. So
hang on though. So if you're paying them, so as of 13, you can pay them, and they work in the company. Can they, without using their own money, then?
You're going to ask me a question I don't know the answer to now, aren't you?
Be a business expense. Can they come to the? As if they work in the company.
They work in the company, of course they can.
Oh, genius. I love that.
Yeah. So I've put 1 down for this because, we currently have none. It could be that you have 2, 3. Samuel's had 4 kids. Why do we think he's having 4 kids? Why does he keep going? I think it's literally for this. He's thinking to himself, this is going to pay itself back. This is going to pay itself back. So, yeah. Anyway, next. Dividends.
Yes.
So rather than taking salary, you're going to take dividends. So in this case, I've put everything that's left, which is 24.5 grand. So that's the rest of the money would go in a dividend, and because it's under the low dividend rate, that's going to come in. I think it's 8.75% tax you're going to pay on that. Now you do have to pay corporation tax on that because it would cast as a profit. But as from your personal tax point of view, it's going to cost you like, I don't know, 2 grand, I think, something like that.
Which, compared to 32 grand,
is unbelievable. Yeah. However, the other option is what you could do is you could put it into a pension.
Yes.
Now, pensions get a really bad name.
I never used to like pensions.
I never used to like pensions. I always thought pensions sucked.
Yeah.
Because I've seen workplace pensions, government pensions, and then they just change the rules, or they you can't rely on a government pension.
No.
They do suck. However, if you've got a SAS or a SIP, something that you manage, you control, you can invest that money into, for example, commercial property.
Yeah.
Which obviously is going to be value, paying you a rent. It's a great investment for a pension. Then it's okay. You can put 60 grand a year per person into your pension. So even if you're earning 150 grand, you just go, well, I'll put 60 into the pension. The rest of it, I'll live off, use expenses, decent salary, blah, blah, blah. And you could use this up to probably 150, 200 grand. And then it's going to start, okay, we've kind of run out of most of our tax-free allowances now. Because there's only so much you can go.
Yeah, it doesn't go on and on and on and on and on, where it's just like, hence why we pay so much tax.
Yeah. But up to this sort of level, see, that's what I was saying at the beginning. I think up to about that level. And then when you get to the really elite level, like your Starbucks is, international companies that are turning over millions, if not billions, they're protected. It's us in the middle. We're the victims here.
We're the victims.
We are. But at this sort of level, 150, 200 grand, you use your pensions, and the pensions is great. You can put 60 grand a year into your pension. The second that you put that money into your pension, you don't pay any corporation tax on it. You don't, zero tax at this stage.
Yeah.
Money goes into your pension, great. You can then invest it into stuff. You can draw it out, I think, when you're 57.
Yeah.
You might correct me in the comments if I got the age slightly wrong. I'm not there yet. So,
But I think it's 57.
I'm not even close to, I think it's 57. You can draw it out. You can take out 25% of it. I think it's up to like 270 grand or something. So if you've got a pension pot of like £1 million, 25% of it you can just take out tax-free. And then after that, you will have to withdraw it as income. But again, you can still use things like your personal allowance and whatnot. And yeah, you might pay a little bit of tax on it there, but you've just been given 250 grand tax-free. You've got the assets, building, no tax now, more importantly. So it's not like, oh, it's a magic bullet, or, you know, but this is just the salary. I mean, if you know how to structure things like, we talked about commercial property, we're earning 18 grand a year. On top of this, from one of our service accommodation properties, we're paying no tax on it. Because we're using capital allowances. We paid no tax last year. We're going to pay no tax the year after. If you're enjoying the show, could you do me a real favour? Hit the subscribe button. Over 76% of viewers aren't subscribed to the channel. Honestly, it makes a massive difference to the channel. It's free for you, but it really helps us to keep doing this. I've got examples with my mom and Tim. They bought a barn conversion. They bought it, pulled out 25 grand, so literally got a barn and 25 grand, tax-free money, by the way. Now they're earning £1,000 a month profit from it. On top of all their normal earnings, they're not going to pay tax for about 7 years.
No, it's brilliant.
Because of capital allowances. So not only can you do this, there's lots of other stuff in property, especially commercial property, that you can do to save an awful lot of money in tax.
You just need to keep up to date with everything, don't you? You need to listen to podcasts, read news articles,
and be around people that are actually doing deals.
So,
and structure, isn't it? It's how you structure your business.
Because you could lose thousands, couldn't you, if you just don't know what you're doing?
Yeah.
And miss out and pay all the tax and then think, oh gosh, I could have saved all that money, and it's very frustrating. So you just need to be aware, and it changes over time. So you can't just think, oh, that's it now. I know it.
No.
You have to continually learn.
The other thing is, one of the things I've learned is you can't rely on an accountant to be helpful at all.
Oh, no, not at all.
Even when they know the stuff, they never, ever tell you. Well, you need people like us and listening to this to give you the ideas.
Yeah.
And then you need to go to your accountant and go, hey, I want to do this. And they're going to go, well, technically you can't. It's like, well, technically I can. Why have you not told me this before?
Yeah.
If technically I can.
Oh, I think it's shocking. It baffles me every time with accountants like that we have to tell them. I just don't understand. Like, isn't that what they're there for?
I know.
But they never seem to know.
Every single, not loophole, because these aren't loopholes, but every single good bit of tax saving I've ever done, I wasn't told by an accountant.
No.
I've had to find out myself, formulate it in my head, go and pitch it to the accountant, and then them go, yes, you can do that. I'm like,
yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
And people will be missing out here that have just gone to their accountant, think their accountant's told them everything. Oh, well, my accountant said, oh, it didn't mention business trips to me or business meals to me or...
Yeah. Part of the reason is it's a bit grey. So everything's like, accountants will differ on their opinion as well. So a lot of it is a bit grey, but yeah.
And I'm not saying don't listen to your accountant.
No, listen.
Like, if he's just like, no, you cannot do that, then
listen, but argue, push.
Yeah.
Same with solicitors.
Yeah.
You know, stamp duty is another big tax. I've saved lots of money on stamp duties where a solicitor has said, this is how much stamp duty you should pay. And I know that I qualify under, in the past it was multiple dwelling relief, or I should pay commercial rates on this because it's mixed use. No, because that's residential. No, you don't you're a solicitor, you don't understand the rules.
Yeah.
I understand the rules better than you. And I've had to switch solicitors to someone who does get it in the past.
Yeah.
And it's like, why am I arguing with my solicitor and I'm smarter than them?
Yeah. It's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, it is crazy. Anyway.
Why don't you then, before we end, quickly recap all I think we've got kind of spread it out. Just
All right, recap all the points that I wrote down. Bullet points.
So you can just listen to it and go bam, bam, bam,
All
bam,
right.
bam.
So if you're earning 100K as an employee, you're going to pay 32 grand of tax. If you're earning it as a business owner, you could pay almost nothing using these expenses. Number one, working from home, mortgage and rent, your utilities, your home internet, your computer and your tech and your office space, your mobile phone, business meals and travel, education, which will bring down your costs massively. And then rather than taking the money as salary, you take 12,570 quid. You also pay that to your partner, your teenager, if you've got a teenager, ideally you have. The rest, you either take in pension contributions, which you invest smartly in commercial property, or you take them as dividends if you can keep them to the low dividend rate of 8.75%. I'm Russell Leeds.
And I'm Anna Leeds.
And we'll see you on the Property Investors Podcast next week.